Alright, I got a new video for you this morning. This one is called Breaking Gravity, the Chains That Bind You. I saw The Man of Steel this week. You all know that information from the collective is embedded within all forms of media. This is what the movie said to me. And, you know, I pick up on different things in movies. It's one of the medias that I pick a lot of my information up in. It's like I'll just go to the movie, and the movie always relates to what's going on with me. Of course, I think just about any art form does that because the collective is embedded in everything. Just like the Bible code, for you that have heard of the Bible code, basically you can take the Torah and mathematically you can find all kinds of information, historic information in the Torah. But I think it goes way beyond just having the Bible code in the Torah. It's like we're living in a consciousness hologram, and information is embedded in absolutely everything. Information is embedded in absolutely everything. So the movie is about Kal-El growing up, learning about who he really is, and choosing who he wants to be. Within Kal-El, just like all of us, is the Codex. The Codex contains all the programmed genetic information of all the Kryptonian tree. Basically, and I'm not saying we have all the information of the Kryptonian tree, but this Codex had all the genetic code of all these different aspects of beings within, which was put within Kal-El's DNA. And I believe that all of us carry within our blood access to all aspects of being. We have access to all aspects of being because it's all within us, coded into our cells. On Krypton, people didn't have a choice of who they were going to be. They were pre-programmed with a specific purpose. Kal-El was different. He got to choose who he wanted to be. We all come here pre-programmed to behave in specific ways and to have particular experiences. It can be found in our astrology, numerology, the enneagram, and a myriad of other places. It all has a purpose. So basically, we come here pre-programmed with who we are supposed to be and what we're supposed to do. Now, you've probably all heard that term before about everything happens for a reason. I believe that up to a certain degree. Yes, everything absolutely does happen for a reason, but for me it doesn't mean that it has to happen. It doesn't have to happen. So we can look at those things, talk about that in a second a little bit in more detail. But there comes a point when you outgrow the current plan, the hologram, or the game. And to me the movie spoke to me on that level. So everything works, the program works, and it all serves a purpose up until a point, until you're done with this particular playing field. So once you've outgrown this particular playing field, then what? Well, to me that was given in the movie too. Kal-El was told by his father to test his limits, to test the limits, to push himself. So you can think about God, our Father, telling us to push ourselves, to push the limits. Because Kal-El at first can't fly, but through effort, by pushing himself, he learns to fly. Kal-El's father is dead and only appears to him as a hologram. Kal-El is given guidance, but he must do the work himself. This got me to thinking about the 5 stages of growth. I've done this in another video called Spiritual Evolutionary Steps. You can do a search for it on YouTube and watch it. It's about 25 minutes long. It's on the spiritual evolutionary steps. And basically it's like our Father who art in heaven is like the parents here on this plane, in a way. Let me explain that a little bit more. So let's say there's 5 stages of growth. There's infant, child, adolescent, young adult, and adult. And we experience these phases in our current life. As we grow up, we have more responsibility and we become less dependent on our parents. I believe it's exactly how it's meant to be on our spiritual walk also. As we go from being spiritual infant to spiritual child to spiritual adolescent to spiritual young adult and then spiritual adult, we become less dependent on our Father who art in heaven. Not that we don't have a relationship with that force, but we become less reliant on it because we are to be growing up ourselves. We are here to have experiences to grow and expand and go beyond. And we are to grow within our spirituality. And spirituality, you build that up over time. Now, they talk about people being spiritual, and there's lots of different levels of being spiritual. And to me, it's about an energy and a consciousness and a strength, a way of behaving and being that is built over time, and it's built through our experiences. Kal-El grows up by pushing himself, by pushing his limits. He discovers the kind of being who he wants to be. He progresses with effort to the point that he can not only fly, but he also can defy Earth's gravity altogether. He is even able to overcome inertia when the force of gravity is being increased by an outside force. You have to see the movie to get that. If you've already seen it, you will get that. But to me, this speaks to what we're supposed to be doing here. It's like we're supposed to be, here's a reality where everything is pushing against us, and it's pushing us to develop ourselves. It's like we have the conflict in reality to push us to go beyond it. Not to say, okay, this is what has to happen to me, this is what has to happen. No, the limits are there for you to break. That's what I totally believe. You're here to break those limits that you came in with. We must push beyond the gravity, just like Superman did, we experience in this plane and on this planet. What is that gravity? That gravity for us is our limiting perceptions, judgments, beliefs, and expectations. We have to use the same amount of force, like Superman did in the movie, that willpower, that force, to bypass the gravity that holds us in our particular situations in life. So these things, our perceptions, judgments, beliefs, and expectations, keep you firmly rooted in this reality, in your illness, in your unhappiness, and in the life you are living. And you will keep coming back over and over again until you build up enough spirit to get past your own inertia and get off the wheel of life and death. In Buddhism, they talk about the wheel of life and death. It's like we pass away, we come back. We pass away, we come back. Reincarnation, if you will. And we keep coming back to this plane because we haven't built up enough spiritual knowledge and strength to get out of the gravity of this reality. Once we're done, once we've built up that knowledge and learned about things like judgment and beliefs and expectations, once we've done that, then we move on to the next level. Have you ever heard of the Great Year? The Great Year is a huge clock. I'm not going to go too much detail here, but basically it describes a 25,000 year cycle that repeats itself over and over and over. It gives detailed information on how the Earth, the playing field, aka hollow program, works. The Earth cycles through dark ages and golden ages. This means that the Earth has and will continue to go through dark, ignorance, and enlightenment, complete awareness time periods. When I first came across this information, it really bothered me. And it bothered me because what it really means is no matter what we do to this particular planet, if it becomes completely enlightened, it will eventually go back through a dark period. In other words, it gets enlightened, then it goes through a dark period. Gets enlightened, goes through a dark period. And that is the program that this reality is about. It's like beings come in to have a certain experience within those particular realms. Once you've gotten it, you move on. So that bothered me because it's like, okay, at one particular point I thought I was here to save the planet. In my infinite wisdom, I thought I was here to save the planet. But in actuality, even if the planet is saved, it will go through a down period where it becomes dark again, because that is just the program of this reality. So it really bothered me until I realized that the goal is not to save this planet or the people. They don't need saving. It's all a particular program that people learn by playing. And we have the different experiences in life so we can grow and expand. So we need a playing field. We need a stage, if you will, to have certain learning experiences. That is until you're done with these particular learning phases or experiences on this plane, then you evolve to the next one. But you evolve to the next one through your effort of pushing past things like judgment and getting past what holds people in this plane. Because once you have judgments, once you have concepts of like karma and things like that, you will keep coming back and back and back and back. You've got to use your inertia or break past your inertia with your willpower and your effort, just like Superman did in the movie. There had been many different civilizations here before, from Lemuria to Atlantis and countless others. They were enlightened civilizations, but yet they fell. And I don't care what you do, you're not going to enlighten this planet for eternity. It's because it's not meant to do that. So maybe saving the world is part of your game, but don't be fooled into thinking you will have done it for eternity. The game board will reset when it's programmed to, so someone else can come along, have the same role, and get the experience. So once you've had the experience, once you get what this is about, and you get the lessons, then you use your will, your effort to move past where you are to the next level. So how do we escape our gravity? Our gravity being our judgments, perceptions, beliefs, and expectations. Well, what does it take to get healthy, to lose weight, to get out of a bad relationship, be it personal, work, food, or even money, or change a limiting belief? What is it? What does it take? Well, I've already mentioned it. It takes effort. It takes effort to overcome our gravities. Let's say you want to bend a spoon. Will it take effort to bend the spoon? Well, of course it will take effort. Even if you try to do it telepathically, you will be efforting with your mind. So effort is needed to get past and go beyond our limitations. Just like Superman learning how to fly and actually breaking the gravity of Earth. To break the gravity, the things that hold us here on this plane and keep us from and stop yourself from coming back over and over and over and over on this particular plane, is you use effort to get past your limits, your judgments, your expectations, and break those cycles that you find yourself in, whether it's a relationship cycle, a judgment cycle. You've got to use effort to get past those things, to break the gravity that is holding you here, to move to the next level. You've got to effort to it. Just like if I wanted to, like say if there's a 40-pound weight, if I haven't exercised, it's unlikely that I can walk up and just simply curl that 20 times. But if I've been efforting myself and building my strength, then that is not a problem. So we build our spiritual strength, our spirituality, through effort, through the challenges that are given to us in life. But we're meant to go through those challenges to get to the other side, to go to the next level. Oh, let me go back one more second. So does effort need to be painful? Well, I think to a certain degree it does. For most, the motivation and effort must involve some pain. You may argue with me, but from what I've seen in my own life and other people's lives, we need pain to a certain degree. Once you get to a certain level, I think pain gets replaced by something else, which I'll discuss in a second. But pain is one of the best motivators in the world. We need it to a certain degree anyway. Love and pain are two of the biggest motivators in life. In the big scheme of things, love and pain are both beneficial, neither one being better than the other. I think love is just as beneficial in pain, and pain is just as beneficial as love. Pain is what pushes us to the next level. It motivates us when we're being unhappy, mentally or emotionally, or there's physical pain. It pushes us to go to the next level. Love can do the same thing. However, there's a big difference between a negative motivator and a positive inspiration and the kind of life they lead to. So if love is your positive inspiration, you're going to have a particular life, as opposed to pain being the negative motivator. A motivator is something that comes from outside. Inspiration is what comes from inside. So in this particular reality, as we're waking up, we sometimes need outside negative things pushing against us to push us to the next level. But once we get to a certain level of our own growth and our own inspiration and our own focus, like Superman, our inspiration comes from inside, and we go for what we want to go for from inside. And I recommend you actually pick some kind of icon, somebody, whether they're real or fictitious. Just pick someone that has traits that you want, and you look at those and you focus on being those. Let that be an inspiration to guide and motivate you, rather than the negative experiences, pain and suffering, be the motivator. But to me, love and pain, neither one is worse than the other one, or neither one's better than the other one. They both serve a purpose. Most people need pain to learn, like getting beaten in a relationship so the person will learn to love themselves and create a healthy environment for themselves. You know, one thing that really I still have a slight charge on is when people are treated in a very negative way, whether that's just physical abuse to rape, whatever that is. You know, that's one of those things that gets all over me. But I see on some level sometimes those things are needed because it pushes people to learn. It's like that person, if somebody's in a negative relationship where they're being treated badly, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever that is, it's pushing that person to grow and go to the next level. And sometimes we need that pain. I mean, I would love to save the world and take that away, but I now realize that sometimes you can't take someone's pain away because that's exactly what they need to be pushing them. I've learned that my role is to help people heal themselves, not for me to heal them, even though that sometimes happens, but the focus is for me to help them heal themselves. And that's how we go to the next level. Or another negative motivator would be like getting a negative motivator would be like getting a negative prognosis from a doctor that motivates someone to change. Like say someone has lung cancer and they've been smoking. Well, that'd be a negative motivator for them to stop smoking. But sometimes those negative motivators don't keep you going. Let me put it this way. Let's say somebody has high cholesterol and the doctor says, if you don't get this cholesterol under control with your diet, you're going to have to go on medication, may even have some heart issues. That may motivate someone enough, and sometimes pain doesn't, or a negative prognosis doesn't push somebody enough, but sometimes it does. So let's say this person starts eating more healthy and starts treating their body better. Usually, if that pattern hasn't been corrected on a deep level, once the negative prognosis, once the negative motivator is gone, that person will revert to the old habits. So we need positive inspiration that comes from inside, not something outside coming and pushing us. But it works just the same. I mean, until we've developed that fire within our own hearts that guide us, the reality will provide that motivation for us. So let me just make sure I read everything here. Ideally, we would love ourselves, our minds, our emotions, and our bodies enough to treat them lovingly and with respect on our own. But that's not always the case. Until then, pain is a great motivator. Negative motivation is short-lived. Once the negative motivator, like cancer, is removed, sometimes the old pattern starts again. The person starts doing the same thing over. You must decide who you want to be in body, mind, heart, energy, and spirit, and let that be your positive inspiration. Again, pick some kind of icon. Christianity is about picking Jesus as an icon to inspire to be. Unfortunately, people get way too caught up in the words and the judgment, and they wind up not embodying who Jesus and Christ was, but they go around telling everybody else who and what they should be. But the whole idea of Christianity is to use Jesus as an example of who you aspire to be. That's a positive inspiration. Of course, it gets twisted around with different people's perceptions and religion. But Jesus is a positive inspiration if you look at basically just how Jesus was himself. So you can use something like that. Use that as a positive inspiration instead of having a negative motivator have to come along and push you through life. Then once you decide who you want to be, with effort, aspire, push towards those goals no matter what stands in your way so that you can break through to the next level. Like Jesus was all loving, all caring, and very compassionate. So the effort would be, if you're trying to emulate that or aspire to be that, then what happens is when you're going through your life and you feel this negativity come up within you, you use effort to direct that negativity and to change it. So effort doesn't always have to be physically. Sometimes it's mental and emotional. But still there's an effort to go to the next level. So you've got to find out who you want to be and use some kind of icon to positively inspire you. And then with effort, you go for it. And you try to emulate that completely. But even saying that, no worries though. You have all of eternity and there is no judgment. So maybe you don't get it this life. Maybe you come to the next one. I'm just making this video in hopes that some people and those that are ready can hear this and maybe it'll help them push to the next level. But there's no judgment. Don't worry about it. You can always keep coming back and again and work on it. You have eternity. But some people are ready to go to the next level. Just want you to know that it does take effort. I honor that place in you where when you are in that place in you and I'm in that place in me, we are one. We are made of the same star stuff, we breathe the same air, walk the same earth, and drink the same water. Namaste.